Now think about it. Is the average grocery store buyer thinking about your product and its placement? No. They don't really have the time to sit and think about you. And that's your job. Your job is to walk into a sales meeting with any buyer and say, hey, my product is great. It's going to sell well in your stores. Here are the reasons why you should take a risk on us. Here is a strategy that we know will win and help you to really succeed in selling our product in your stores. So your homework is to create a great sales presentation with these things in mind, as well as to innovate your products so that you're constantly being aware of what works in a grocery store and the strategies used to place products so that you can succeed there. So the first thing you can do is to create a pitch deck. Design your single cell unit so that it has both the visual design elements that will grab attention on the shelf and show that product compared to the national best-selling brand. Show that it belongs. If you're placed next to the best-selling product, that's considered the most coveted spot where most people want to have their products. That's why a lot of private label brands will place their products next to the best-selling brand leader, because they know that people are looking at the brand leader. And if they look to the left or the right, they're going to see the private label brand and possibly consider buying it. So if you make sense and if you design visually or structurally your product to be able to be placed next to the best sellers that looks good but still stands out, that's going to maximize your personal ability to sell your product on the shelf. And thinking through different structural strategies, like how are people using the product, just like Justin's? Can you come up with different ways of putting your product into different packaging that helps you to expand your influence? It's also important to build a brand family. So if you have one SKU on the shelf, your product will not get noticed, because there are major brands that have 4 to 5 to 6 different products up there, and they're able to create this footprint, like that GT's kombucha that we just saw. If you don't have that ability to grab attention, create real estate, and stand out from the competition, you need to add a brand family, which means adding 2 or 3 different SKUs that have similar packaging artwork. That's how you can create the greatest brand impact, and giving your retail buyer an excuse to carry your product and say, like, oh, we got different flavors. This is a part of our story. There's been a huge demand for cheddar cheese. Now there's low fat. You're really giving your buyer the belief that your product is succeeding, and you're really investing yourself into a story that will help people to buy your product and understand who you are. Creating point of purchase displays, thinking that part through, and coming with that in your sales pitch. Can you explain to people where your product belongs on the store and where else it could possibly be? If you're in only one spot on a store, it's a lot harder to sell than if you're in multiple places. And oftentimes during the holidays, even if your product really, really, truly belongs in the center aisle, there's no reason for anyone to put toothpaste out in an end cap. You can come up with like a fun excuse at least once a year for your product to be placed at the very end. What if you had a slumber party pitch and you explained to them, suggested that they pair the toothpaste with a nightlight, and it's summer again. So do you have all the things that you need as your grandkids are coming over during the summer? Giving them stories to tell their shoppers is really empowering. So you can help give them an excuse to put your product center store just by helping them think through how to sell more. And so I would even literally look at the planogram of their stores and come up with a pitch that doesn't just say buy my product, but it tells them where they could consider placing it. And so I mean, in conclusion, the thing is that a planogram is the map of the store, and it shows how it's placed, but it's done strategically to help a retail buyer and help the grocery store make a plan to maximize sales. So your goal is to understand that and create an argument for how to maximize incrementally their sales by adding your product in there. And so understanding merchandising techniques, understanding how you should be designing your product, and then pitching that in your sales pitch is the best way to maximize your potential sales when you're in a retail meeting. And hey, what I do on a regular basis when I'm designing new products is I literally walk the stores. I will do printed mock-ups. I will walk into a store, look at the category, see the height of the shelves in my category, see the different packaging sizes. You can literally measure them. I have a measuring tool on my keychain, and I go into grocery stores and take photos and measuring chip bags and bottles and the diameter. And I take notes on those things when I'm innovating, because we want to understand, as a design agency, at Pearl Resourcing what products are succeeding, what's already in the market, because it's about competing on a shelf. I'm not there to sell a product. The packaging and the product on the exterior visual display, as well as all of those promotional placement pieces, are the things that are determining whether or not my wonderful product gets even tasted. It has nothing to do with how great my product is. That's the second thing after all those other pieces that decides whether or not a person continues to buy. So it's really important in creating a strong sales strategy to think these parts through and be the master of your own fate with it. Don't just be a victim. A buyer's too busy. Don't let them make the decision by themselves. Help them. That's your goal, is to help them.